Welcome to a new episode of YEV, and we're here to talk about the balance of everything electric vehicles. And joining me today, we've got Alex Grant, and he's live, and there's no lag today, is there, Alex?
I hope not.
Look at that.
I've actually spent some actual money on an actual device that can. I'm on a power line adapter, so I'm no longer dealing with a tethered connection that's dropping in and out, and it seems to be absolutely have worked wonders on it. So
perfect.
Happy days.
Good old technology. So yes. Yeah, today we are talking about EV servicing. And you could argue that the title's a little bit clickbaity, you know, the EV servicing con, but I think there is some kind of there is a bit of truth in that, I believe. So what I wanted to talk today about was talking about different manufacturers, their servicing costs, their intervals, what they expect you to complete on a service to keep up with the warranty, and like I said, how that compares to different OEMs. And I believe Alex has got a invoice on standby of recent servicing as well, which is quite good. I've been having fun and games with my Tesla today, which I'll talk to everyone about later. So yeah, I mean, anybody so far watching, if you've got any interesting servicing costs, or good or bad, whack them in the comments. Let's talk about it. That's what it's all about. That's why we're live. We want to hear from you. And I'm sure I'll ask the same thing again a bit later on. So, Alex, you might as well start with your invoice. Might as well start with a piece of you got there.
So I've had some interesting experiences. Obviously, I've been driving EVs for over a decade. This is the first time we've owned one outright. We actually, the Rifter is our car, so it's not on lease or anything like that. We own it. It's ours.
Just to clarify for people, you always say Rifter. What actually is a Rifter?
So an e-Rifter, as we've got, is, if you try and imagine a Citroen Berlingo van or a Peugeot partner van in this case, but obviously people are more familiar, I guess, with the Berlingo. It's a van with windows. There's no, but it's also got some additional kind of body cladding and some other bits on it. 7 seats, fully electric, 3 ISOFIX points in the back, which is incredibly rare. 4.7 meters end to end, so quite relatively compact for a three-row MPV. About 140 miles of range to a full charge. There you go. I think that's fairly kind of summarized it. It's a great car for what it is. If you're regularly pounding up and down the motorways, you'd probably find it a bit of a bind. But for us, school runs, shopping runs, trips to IKEA, mostly on electric, and with the kids in tow for 100-mile interval charging intervals is fine. So we've used it. We've been on holiday in it. We've done all the school runs. We've kind of moved stuff around in it. We've done tip runs and everything. It's been great. But then obviously I'm also used to. I mean, I cut my teeth driving cars with less than 100 miles to full charge, so 140 miles, even though that's about as difficult, I think, as it goes these days. There's not a lot of cars that offer less range than that. Kind of used to it. But one of the things that we've obviously now we've experienced in this car firsthand, obviously, then is servicing and MOTs and other bits and pieces, which we've not really had cars. We've had cars on PCP beforehand, so we've kind of had them for three years. Got rid of them before they kind of needed massive servicing and all the rest of it. So this car replaced a Citroen C4 Space Tourer, which is better known as the Picasso. And we carried on servicing it in the same garage. It's interesting that there's multiple layers to this, which I'm going to have to make notes to myself for later on. But 2 years ago, we had the first major service on the car. So at 2 years old, and it was £200. Now that is, for reference, that is half the price of the major service that we'd recently had on the car that predated it. So that would have been a couple of years beforehand. So the car that predated it beforehand at the same garage. Obviously, bearing in mind there will also have been inflation in the meantime, was twice as much. So we're paying half as much to service it. So This was a 2-year service on the Rifter. And out of so it's £215 it was. Out of that, how much do you think was parts?
35 quid.
Pretty close, actually. Yeah, it was £28 for a particulate filter and £1.62 for screen wash. The rest of which on this invoice mostly seems to be a pretty comprehensive check of tyres and fluids and all the rest of it, all of which I think is quite good to have. The issue that we then had, we had two issues. The first was that when I booked it in for that 2 years ago, and I've told this on this, apologies for those of you who are about to go, I know what he's about to say. When I booked it in, I got a confirmation email. The garage got in touch and said, we recommend while your car's in having a major service that you have an oil flush. It's great for reducing emissions and restoring performance. No, not so much on an EV. I think that might not do it much good. We've then had issues last year, so we're coming into the next service now this December.
We had third service.
So this will be it'll be our second service. So we had
just to clarify. So the first year there was nothing. Second year was the major service, which is the first service, and now the next one's going to be your fourth year and your second service.
So there's only servicing every 2 years on the Rifter. We had an MOT last year, and the car was telling us that it was due for a service. So this has been the major issue, is the comms stuff. So the car was saying to us, due a service, and I phoned the garage and said, "Oh, look, it needs an MOT. It's telling us it needs a service at the same time. Obviously, we want to make sure that we're looking after the car properly. Does it need a service?" And he said, "Yes, it'll need an interim service. That's going to be £200." And I said, "For what?" And he said, "Oh, it's an oil change and other bits and pieces." I said, "It's electric." He said, "Oh, no, it doesn't need a service this year, though." Okay, so the car said it needs a service. I took it in. It had its MOT, the same place we had the service the previous year. And when I picked it up, I got back in the car, turned it on, and it still said, "I need a service." So I turned it off, went back into the garage and said, "Look, the car's still saying it needs a service. I just want to make sure, is the car wrong? If you're telling me the car is wrong, can you please properly full on confirm it does not need a service?" And he said, "No, absolutely, definitely not. Does not need a service. We'll come out and I'll reset the light for you." And he's reset the light and all the rest of it. At which point my phone, the My Peugeot app, connected to the car, and the My Peugeot app pinged up and went, "You need a service." I was like, right, okay. So the app still thinks I do need a service. This is a terrible bit of comms on their part, that it doesn't seem to know that it's not a diesel or petrol.
But they're not a Peugeot dealer per se, have they?
They are a Peugeot. Well, they're PSA dealers, so they're dealing with Berlingo.
Okay, so they've got all the right technology to plug it in, turn off bits and bobs. Okay,
yes.
So
they're dealing with the same car with different badges on. Yeah, so it doesn't. We're not taking it to the wrong place or somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about. We're taking it to somebody who is dealing with identical cars but with a different badge on the bonnet. So he reset the service light, said ignore the app, and then as I got in the car, I got an email from the dealer that I'd just been to saying, "Well, thanks for bringing your car to us for MOT. Are you aware that it needs a service?" And I was like, right, okay. So I got back in and I was like, "Look, can somebody please just tell me for sure? Because I'm used to fueled cars and servicing fuel cars that do need a service every year. This gets a service every year, regardless of mileage and all the rest of it. It's just an opportunity to check it up, make sure everything's fine, change the oil, change any filters, make sure it's all okay." Definitely didn't. So I've had the car, the app, and the dealer's CRM all telling me that I need a service on a car that I don't need a service on. But generally speaking, other than that, £200 for all my servicing for 2 years it's not actually all that bad, considering it was £600 for the C4 that we had beforehand.
I mean, you think about labour costs now. What is it from a main dealer? 140 is probably going to be the cheapest for a proper main dealer. And I suppose again, I will get to the comments, but I mean, Jimmy whacked in a comment straight away. Thanks, Jimmy, for popping something in there. Looks like he's got, what is that car in his
Skyline? That's an R32 Skyline, isn't it?
It's Skyline.
It's definitely a Skyline.
There's a Skyline emblem just up there at the top. R32. There we go. Yeah. Because I used to have my R33. I do lust after one. Anyway. We'll go, talk about that another time. He said he works for Vauxhall main dealer, and we say every 2 years and brake fluid and pollen filter only we charge sub £200. Now that's kind of in line with the service you were talking about. But you didn't get your brake fluid done at 200.
No.
I've got it. Now this is where I'm going to start actually, because, and I think when I was at Audi and VW, they were kind of guilty of this as well. Brake fluid, does it really need changing after 2 years? I would say arguably no. It does feel to me that, and I think they do that on petrol and diesel cars anyway, that, oh yeah, we better change the brake fluid just as an extra cost. I mean, if they're doing the brake fluid and the service and pollen filter for sub 200 quid, I think that's pretty good. I would argue that it's probably not the brake fluid as well. But yeah, like you said, Alex, £200 for a service is pretty good. Let's just whack through some of these comments again. So Lewis has said Kona has gone through basic inspection every 10,000 to 20,000 miles on the new version. How much do they charge you, Lewis, each time it comes in for service? And I will get to the Hyundai and Kia servicing in a minute. They throw in a free recovery for a year, 2 each time. And then Jimmy's come back with, Skyline and Tesla Y for the Eco. Nice combo, mate. Love it. What Skyline is it? Is it R33 GTST? Is it perhaps an GTR?
It looks like a 32. Definitely looks like a 32.
Oh, I love a 32. Yeah. So going back to obviously your service and what Lewis was talking about, what Jimmy. So all these main dealers, they are, well, it seems like the PSA and Vauxhall, it's every 2 years. Now, as you may know, Alex, with Hyundais, and I think Kia's the same as well, they want you to come in every year. Now, I've gone through that servicing regime before, and one of my friends bought a Kona, and they've gone through it as well. And yeah, it's literally just check the screen wash. I mean, fair enough. Like, I just want to double kind of confirm something right now. I think it's important to get your vehicle checked over every year. I do think that's important. But in terms of servicing and these extra, brake fluid or cabin filter, depending on what they're suggesting as well, it just seems to be like they're continuing this traditional, I'm not going to say legacy, traditional, Alex doesn't like that word, traditional model of, okay, every year we're going to get some money from our clientele to keep the doors open. Whereas I'm going to compare that. Obviously, I'm going to compare it to Tesla, aren't I? Of course, I'm going to. There it is. So I tend to only, yes, okay, it goes in for MOT. I've never had a new Tesla. Gemma's was 3 years old, although it was serviced every year because it was a taxi, which is good. But I've never had a new electric car. So would I take it in for the first year or the second year? I don't know. I mean, probably would do to keep with the warranty. And this is, going back to Hyundai and Kia, it's very much a gray area. If you don't get certain things serviced, that is the warranty going to be void? Yes, it probably is going to be void. But they don't say that categorically. Because when I bought a load of Hyundai Winnnice, what they called, oh goodness me,
Ionics,
thank you. We bought them, and some of them hadn't been serviced in the first year. And when I called them, is the warranty? And they were really, really patchy and grey about it. That was a couple of years ago now. But let's just go back to basics here now. So a petrol or diesel car goes in for a service for an oil change. Okay, oil and filter and an air filter. Yep, okay, golden. I agree with that. That's what I do on any of my petrol cars in the past. Even though it doesn't matter what the mileage is, I would always service it every year because I think that's good practice. But electric cars, I mean, yes, screen wash. Brake fluid, I mean, in your opinion, Alex, how often does a brake fluid... R32 GTR. Jimmy, good lad.
Nice.
Sorry, it's a squirrel. Get distracted, don't I? So, yeah. So, what's your thoughts on that? In terms of,
I do it every couple of years, but then equally, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it every year. I have done it every year. I've wound that back a little bit on this. I mean, and not on the Rifter.
petrol. Yeah.
On an EV, I suppose you're still going to have the issues with kind of, absorbing moisture and so on and so forth, which is not brilliant, but you presumably you're going to be using it less if you've got, regen braking and things like that. I mean,
yeah,
there's an awful lot less. I mean, it's not just, yes, it's oil filter and, oil and filter and oil filter. God, dear me. Oil, cabin filter, air filter on a petrol car. plus other bits and pieces as they come, like your spark plugs and stuff if you've got I don't know why, but you would, on an EV, you're kind of less likely to need new tires quite often, and you're certainly less likely to need new brakes.
Yeah.
It's the safety check side of things is kind of covered on an MOT once you get into an older vehicle as well. That's the other side of
Yeah.
things. I mean, that's
Although
something actually I wanted to kind of mention on that front. I mean, this in a few years' time, it's not. What's this now? 30, coming up to 35 years old. It's only got another 5 or so years of needing MOTs. I plan on taking it in for an MOT every year anyway, even once it goes after that point, because I just think for 50 quid, I mean, inflation, yada, yada, yada. But 50 quid for a decent checkup's not
value,
that
isn't it?
bad. Yeah, it's not that bad.
It's value because they spend at least an hour on that, don't they?
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, some MOT stations are more vigorous than others, and there's other arguments for, a bit more vigorous because they want to get some more money out of you, and the ones that aren't so vigorous, they might charge a little bit more in the first place. That's what I've always found anyway. So yeah, going back to the electric. So you're kind of agreeing with me that I think dealers are probably going a bit OTT to bring some money back into the coffers, into the servicing department, when not necessarily needing so. Would you agree?
I think there's a little bit of that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I mean, we've said at the start about the kind of the con thing. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to call it a con, but I think there's a kind of a familiarity in terms of doing things in certain ways, and perhaps also a lack of familiarity with the technology. At the moment, it's still relatively new. We don't necessarily know how some of those components are going to age, and kind of keeping an eye on them, giving an opportunity to update the software and kind of make sure that people come back in and have things checked, maybe download a little bit of information and just kind of see how things are wearing. Probably benefits them as well. It might be that over time that you don't, that the traditional manufacturers don't see such a big kind of need to kind of keep bringing the vehicles in. I mean, things like cabin filters. I mean, I can see why living around here, where you've still got, I mean, we live in a city. There's a lot of kind of fumes and kind of particles and all sorts of other crap from cars and from people just burning stuff in general. Having the cabin filter changed regularly is not too bad a thing, I don't think.
No, I don't think it's too difficult to do on most cars.
No, it's not.
I was going to do it on the Tesla, but I ended up Tesla did it when it was in for probably something suspension related. Now, funnily enough, Lewis has put to my question when I said how much did his first service cost at the Hyundai dealer, he said £110 or so. The main dealer used to be Bristol Street, now it's Virtue. Yeah. So, oh, hang on, we've got a bit more. Let's just go through these, and I'm just going to give you the next kind of focus that I wanted to discuss. They do literally just check the wipers, wiper fluid, tires, brakes, suspension check. I feel that tried to scam me 30 quid for a wiper fluid filter removal and fluid siphoning because it had dust in. Wow, £300. Sorry, what was the £300? Was that the second service? So Jimmy's put Jimmy, my new friend with his R32 GTR. Brake fluid color changes with more water in the content. You can test yourself. Absolutely. It's one of them squeezy things, isn't it? Is it the squeezy thing? You put it into the top and then you... Is that like
I've never done it. I've just always changed it on on spec. So yeah. I mean, it is, but then equally, a lot of people wouldn't think to do that. I mean, this is the issue always with kind of having somebody who knows what they're doing look over the vehicle, and certainly if you say there's no servicing, you could quite realistically have a vehicle that leaves the factory and spends 3 years out on the road, comes in for its first MOT, having not been inside a workshop at all in that time. And as much as you'd hope that people would keep an eye on things like tires, tire pressure, conditions, their brakes, knocks and bangs in steering and stuff, especially with the potholes and things that we've got all over the road at the moment, people really aren't that careful. Actually, it's interesting. A long time, it's about 20 years ago when I was temping, we had a clampdown on. We had somebody come around and one of the industrial estates where I was working, or business parks rather, where I was working, and they came into the car parks and they checked MOTs on all the vehicles in the car park. So they just drove up and down with like ANPR, and there was something like 11 cars in the place where I was. It was a big office, but there was something like 11 cars that were overdue for their MOT. And it's just, if people aren't even keeping up with the kind of the routine stuff that's enforced like that,
Yeah.
They're not going to be checking, with the best will in the world. And I do a lot of stuff on the fleet market with like fleets and stuff. Is you have to kind of van drivers are potentially better at some of this sort of stuff because kind of have to be, but there's less in terms of even fleet cars, let alone privately owned, second-hand vehicles that people just not used to kind of keeping an eye on in that way. They just assume you've got to wait, take it into the dealer, and you can end up with people with all sorts of problems that go undetected. So
I'm going to go back to Tesla, and as some people will know, and we'll talk about warranties in a second as well, because I think it's quite important. But with Tesla, you don't officially need to do any servicing regimes to keep the warranty. And what's quite important is to explain that the battery and motor warranty is the same. It's like 8 years, 120,000 miles. I think on the standard range, it's 100,000 miles. So ultimately, you don't actually need to take it in for a service at all. Now, I would argue the money you save on the servicing costs will help pay for all of the lower arms that the suspension might be needing. Funnily enough, Rusty's going in for an MOT soon, and yeah, definitely there's a lower arm noise going on at the moment. So I think it's just important to realize that, yes, okay, there's different service regimes out there. Some, I think, con's probably a bit strong, was a bit clickbaity, sorry, people. But I think there is really that there does seem to be a massive difference between Tesla and the other ones. And I don't think Tesla are necessarily doing it wrong. Yes, maybe offering health checks and maybe recommending it on the app that they don't ever do that. Just waiting for the MOT to come up, and it's like, okay, it's there's a bush here, there's other bits and bobs, but I just feel that there does seem to be, like I said, a massive void between dealers, brands, and I think that is to do with the traditional model. But something that is worth highlighting as well, and I think people get caught by this, is first of all, there's certain brands that Hyundai, not to mention just them, but there's brands out there that do have suggest you need to service it to keep the warranty. But some of the warranty on some of these electric cars are vastly different. Again, I've used it a few times, and people, again, like Alex's comment earlier about oil change on an electric car, and we'll get to an oil change on drive units in a minute, is on any electric car really, is the fact that going back to warranty, is that some cars have a 3-year warranty on their motor, and then they have an 8 or 10-year warranty on their battery. So, for example, an Audi e-tron or Q4, been looking into what the differences are, and I think a lot of the non-testers are very similar to this, is the motor warranty isn't as long as the battery warranty. So just be really, really careful with that, because generally speaking, I mean, that would worry me a little bit, the fact that they've not put the same level of warranty on the battery and the motor. And I know that the Audi e-tron motors are quite fragile. Saw quite a lot on the ramp when I was at Audi, and I've seen a few that have literally tipped out of warranty, maybe 3.5, 4 years old, where it needs another motor. And I don't think that's exactly a cheap thing to do, because it is obviously quite specialist. So just be wary, not only to make sure you service your vehicle within the regime, if you care about going back to the dealer for warranty. And generally speaking, people will worry about the battery more than anything else, because of all the talk out there about batteries not lasting and stuff. But just be really, really careful. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned on the Tesla, I just, if I think it needs something, if there's a knock or anything like that, or something needs doing the MOT, I get it done. Other than that, the only time I've ever serviced the Tesla is I took Cleveley, had Cleveley mobile service on, come and check round Rusty. I can't remember why. I think there was a few bits that I wanted to check over. So, there are people like Cleveley, or there are EV specialists out there, and Hevra dealers, HEVA dealers out there locally that are specialists that will be able to help out.
Interesting as well what you're saying about, so there's a wider serviceability issue, isn't there, with some of these vehicles, which is one thing that is starting to get talked about. I know BMW are very keen on this with the new, so I don't know if you've seen the iX3 start of new generation of stuff. I think the iX3 actually looks all right. I thought the concept was hideous, but the real vehicle's not a bad looking vehicle. But anyway,
Matt Watson said that the side was really, really ordinary, but everything else was really, really nice. Front, back, tech. Obviously, the charging speed's good and everything else. But yeah, sorry, what was your point on the vehicle?
the hardware on it is designed to be serviceable. So they're looking at what the trends are, what can go wrong, what can cause expensive bills, and then they've engineered those so that you can replace individual parts. So it's designed so that bits of it can be dismantled, removed more simply without kind of going, well, this one element of, say, the inverter is knackered, so we've got to replace the whole inverter or the whole drive unit. They've kind of designed it all so that you can service the bits that can be expensive and can cause problems, which is a good sign. That's the kind of the longer term servicing stuff with that. And also worth noting as well that batteries now starting to be regulated under the latest Euro regulations. You have to have that kind of 8-year, I think it's 150,000 miles or 250,000 kilometer warranty on it. But also noting that doesn't mean it'll retain 100%. That is for, I think, 70-75%. It's been a while since I've written about it. I can't remember, but it will have to retain. It can lose something like almost a third of the range in that time. But obviously, we're now reaching a point where that's less and less of an issue. Yeah. But yeah, the serviceability side of things, not just the kind of routine servicing. I know you're going to talk about lubricants and stuff as well, with oil changes and so on for drive units. Is that there's a lot less servicing. You haven't got your belts, you haven't got your kind of clutches and other bits and pieces like that. But there are still, on the longer term, certain things that you'll need to keep an eye on.
Funnily enough, I was washing Rusty before the video that didn't quite go to plan today, and there was a green Passat with beige interior. This really nice Polish chap cleaning away. I was like, oh, that looks really clean. And he goes, yeah, it's done 500,000 miles. I was thinking, blooming heck. It's obviously done a few cam belts on that. I think he did about 5 himself and all the rest of it. I mean, that obviously it's a 1.9 diesel PD engine, which is strong. But I always like to try and shock people with the mileage of the cars that I've got. It hasn't really worked so far. I think, generally speaking, they just don't care. But anyway, just going through the comments. So Lewis, you mentioned that it had a brake scrape and clean not included, sadly. Oh, they didn't do the free clean. Yeah, Tesla don't do that. They do literally just check the wipers, wiper fluid, tires, brake, suspension check. I feel they tried to scam me. Oh, no, we already did that one. Sorry. Brake fluid. Oh, we've done that as well. Yeah, I was going to talk about PSV. Oh, Stellantis. Because you were talking just a minute ago, Alex, about the fact that not the whole unit has to be replaced. And this is something that I was getting a bit annoyed about with some reports of Stellantis, that certain cars, if something does fail, yes, the whole thing does need to be replaced. Commuter branch line, good to see you, mate. I know you're late. You're always late. You know, come on, you know the time. I had my Tesla PSV'd for the second time in last week. They use brake suspension testing machines. They very vigorously and charge £157 as Northern Ireland MOTs are carried out by government departments. Interesting. £300 for wiper fluid, siphoning and filter removal. Ouch. I declined to pay for that. I'm not surprised, mate. Jimmy, I changed my own pollen filter on my Model Y on my 22 plate, 85k, but never been near Tesla. Yeah, I only tend to go there for like the specialist stuff, to be fair. Commute branch line, my Model Y after 77,500 had a brake service, cabin and HEPA filter, 2 sets of wipers, 2 sets of tires, total cost 960. Test replaced front lower control area and 2 front knuckles under warranty. Interesting. Yeah, I've never had a Tesla in normal warranty before. Only battery warranty, but I've never had a Tesla in warranty. That's an interesting thought, isn't it? Wipers are actually really easy to replace. I've replaced my own. Fox. So Foxy, named it twice. I've just brought a second-hand Tesla Model 3 and the brakes are making a grinding noise. Would this be covered as only had the car 3 weeks? What's the age of mileage? Because that's quite a rare thing. I wouldn't have thought the brakes would need doing yet, depending on the age of mileage, because they last so long. Could be a brake, could be a stone in the brakes, perhaps. PWNE, good to see you, mate. So far, I love the low maintenance for my Model 3 performance, but a leaky radiator cost me $750, including labour. Seems a bit high, especially considering how often the shovel of the radiator needs to be cleaned. Yeah, be careful. Any Tesla driver that is thinking about, servicing it themselves, just check in front of the radiator. Loads of leaves and crap get stuck in there. Funnily enough, Cleveland mobile guy cleared all of that stuff out of mine. Yeah, it does get in there. That is for sure. Lars, good to see you, Lars. What's happening to the TVR wedgie? It's just out there. Dimitri was here recently. We've basically pulled a load of stuff out, ripped it out, and got a few more radiators because we only had one radiator in there, and that's not going to work. So we've got another radiator. So we're basically doing some extra pipe work. We've simplified it, new radiator, getting the high voltage batteries in, and then it's going somewhere else, soon to be uncovered. Guys, loads of comments in here. Keeping going, lads. Probably not many lasses in here. Yeah, any experience on servicing costs, whether you're ripped off or good deals, whack them in. Computer branch line, my mechanical mate checked my suspension pre-PSV. What does PSV stand for?
I don't know.
I'm lost, mate. Can you explain to us? And told me to check it again. Is it service something? Pre-service check or something? And told me to check it again at 100k. Handles, catches, checked straps, etc., all inspected and lubricated with the appropriate lubricants. There was a brake burnishing guide within the service manual. Oh, that's interesting. Fox, it's a 21, making horrible noise. It's done 64k. I've cleaned them and still making a terrible noise. You check the brake pads just to see how much meat's left on them. It could potentially be the brake shield, I would say, because sometimes they knock, so that might go near to the disc. I wouldn't know about that on Rusty because they got snipped off when I put the performance front brakes on. So Alex, what I wanted to talk about was lubricant. So it's an ongoing battle, not only with me, but I think out there in the public, although I think Cleveland EV are literally saying it needs to be changed. Tesla don't seem to really care, but oil on drive units. Now, I don't know if anyone's got experience on other electric vehicles with drive units with oil that needs changing with an air filter. I can only tell you about Teslas. But I saw one opened the other day. I don't know what the mileage of the Tesla Model 3 Performance was, but the oil was very black. And it's made me kind of question again both my Tesla Model 3s that I don't think have had the oil changes on them, respectively. One's done 225,000 miles, 3.5 years old, and Rusty's done 133 miles, 1,000 miles, 6 years old. What do you reckon, Alex? Do you think that needs doing? They are sealed, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, I've seen, and I've never been within the guts of a Tesla to see. Don't they have an oil filter on them? A removable oil filter, yeah. So I mean, anything that kind of needs to filter stuff like that, I would suggest at some point is going to need, because if you need to filter stuff out of it, then it suggests that there's something in it worth filtering, and therefore, I would suggest that that's something that is the kind of thing that I would want to do if I had one.
Yeah, I think I'm battling with myself because I changed the oil. Fox, yeah, definitely take it back to Tesla if you bought it from them, 100%, mate. So I changed the oil on my Toyota Alphard gearbox, which people say you don't need to change it, but just for the longevity of the gearbox and everything else. So yeah, I should do it. I think it's just finances are very, very tight. I know I always say that. I'll stop saying it. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's too expensive to do the oil change. I think it's 80 quid each drive unit. So it's not crazy. You could argue it's cheaper than a full service.
Wrecking one. It's cheaper than wrecking one, isn't it? I mean, I just think it's one of those things that's kind of for peace of mind, but then I'm a kind of a peace of mind person, which is kind of buying something that's with a high strung supercharger and all the rest of it is not the most sensible thing from that point of view. But I'm one of these people, if it makes a knocking noise or it's not doing things as it should, or even before that point, I kind of think it's worth doing the preemptive stuff just in case. Because I mean, you can probably get away with it. I mean, there's all sorts of cars that you can probably run. You can leave oil in for years and so on and so forth, and they probably just last through it. Doesn't mean it's the right thing to do with them. Anything with a Toyota badge on the bonnet, yeah. So
yeah, no, I mean, with my ICE cars, I've always been like that. Yeah, I just need to get it booked in to do it, to be fair. So yeah, I'll sort it out. Be interesting to see if Rusty fails on anything else other than that knocking lower arm or whatever it is that's knocking. It's really irritating. especially because you hear it all the time because the roads are rubbish out there. But guys, anyone in the comments, please whack in any questions you've got about servicing or what experiences you've had. It'd be really interesting to chat about it. So we talked about, servicing potential cons around main dealer, OEMs, different Tesla as a kind of comparison. Is anyone doing servicing regime like Tesla? I don't think they are they?
No. I don't even think Chinese brands are doing anything along those lines, as far as I'm aware.
That is interesting. Anyone that's got a Chinese electric car, whack it in the comments. Yeah, I would say that most of the Chinese manufacturers have gone with dealers that are already well established, especially MG, not maybe so much JQ and BYD and people like that, but certainly MG. It used to be another brand, because most of the MG and Rover dealers were dead, weren't they? Not literally, but they'd gone. So yeah, maybe they just want to. Maybe there was an agreement there. Maybe, I don't know. It'd be interesting to know that. So if anyone's got any information on that, please share it. What we got here? Oh, hello. Here we go. Jimmy has put in, neighbours Audi had iron filings in the drivetrain. Oil started by making horrible noises. Yeah, I'm guessing that was electric Audi, I'm guessing. Keith, hi Keith. Hyundai don't recommend changing the reduction gear oil as they feel it's sealed unit. It's cheap and easy to change, and people on Hyundai found recommending changing it every 50k. So that's exactly the same circumstance as Tesla, isn't it? Where sealed unit, does it really need changing? From a precaution point of view, maybe it does. So I think Hyundai and Tesla are on the same kind of wave band in drive unit changes, oil changes, but not in any of the other servicing. Very interesting. Commuter branch line. So a public service vehicle. Yes. Public service vehicle, PSV. Test is for a taxi, minicab, bus carrying passengers. For my car, it's categorized as a taxi. For Uber driving, it's proper test, not just for the visuals. Moreover, have you got the new Model Y? Are you going to be retiring on a beach and let it robo taxi away? Well, I'm interested to know what model you got now. Hyundai forums. Yes. It's the joys of forums. Everyone's got an opinion, haven't they? Owen, where did you get your Aerodiscs from? They look really good. I don't have any Aerodiscs on it anymore. They do look good.
They do look good, yeah.
Yeah, they do look pretty cool. I got them from, oh god, I'm going to kick myself now. I can't remember their name. Video is in the short somewhere on the YouTube channel. But problem is a lot of the ones I had. Hang on. For example, you got to watch out for the female species. But I've kept this one because it was actually the nicest one. But problem is, they have these. I've ripped them all off, but they've got metal clips, and those metal clips go quite rusty. Unlike the Tesla ones, the Tesla ones don't rust at all. But I ain't gonna put that back anytime soon. So yeah, just be wary.
I could buy Aerodiscs for mine. Nobody makes Aerodiscs in 15-inch.
They do look cool, and they're obviously good for range and all of that. And now I've completely ruined it by having winter wheels, bigger, wider wheels, which are 19s with no aero. But the is what it is. But yeah, just be careful of those metal clips because mine just kept on rusting up. So just be wary of that. They're a bugger to take on and off as well. In the US, Tesla takes a lot longer to schedule service. The private EV shops are better. Yeah, that's interesting. There are quite a few private shops out there now. I'm guessing there are in US. What do you reckon, Alex?
Worth noting in general, actually, that there is. I've found post-COVID there does seem to be much longer waits for all sorts of workshop time. Workshop waiting times are much longer than they used to be. This is another reason to kind of want something that hasn't got to go into the workshop as often. But yes, it's usually like 3 or 4 weeks now, isn't it, to book a car into a main dealer? It's not unusual for servicing and so on, which is not how it used to be.
No, you're right. I think it used to be like 2 weeks, something like that.
There's shortage. I know that there's shortages of technicians in the UK, and there's also shortages in the States. What did I read? There was a stat. I can't remember, one of the trade associations over in the States, and they reckon it's about half as many EV qualified technicians are. Actually, I think it's just technicians in general. And over here, there's an issue. There's a shortage with EV technicians, which is getting bigger each year. In the States, I think they're having issues with people retiring at a faster rate than they're recruiting. So they're not getting the throughput of people coming into the industry who want to go and go off and do that as a job. So yeah, the labor rates are going up, and also your waiting times are increasing. So yeah, we've got that issue in the UK and across Europe as well.
Maybe it's a bit like the truck driver situation. A lot of the truck drivers are getting older and there's no kind of fresh blood. And although there was always lots of fresh blood coming into our dealers, all the master techs, once they got qualified properly, they went and got a better paid job, because being a master tech at a main dealer was just not paid that well at all. So generally speaking, you didn't have, experienced, not in every case, but experienced people working on your car, which is the last thing you want to do. And generally master techs either went and worked for themselves or found their niche, or trains. A lot of our master techs, when I was at Audi, a lot of them got into the train technician game. So I'd hate to service a train, but there we go. I'm sure that costs probably a little bit more. So Jimmy, thanks for whacking it in there, buddy. He says that MG have annual servicing, and that is to validate the warranty. Best place to MOT a Tesla, Quick Fit Halfords, local to myself. I would normally say Hevra dealer. So if you put in hevra.org.uk, just put in Hevra, Hevra into Google. They tend to be specialize in electric vehicles, but some are better than others. Bear that in mind. I'm not sure we're going to MOT my car next, but I'm getting Cleveland EV, who, funnily enough, I emailed yesterday. So I'd be interested to see what their wait time is based on what you were saying before, Alex. I reckon it's going to be at least a month, but luckily my MOT is not till the 17th of October. So if it is a month, I'll just MOT it. It'll probably fail on that thing, and then I'll get them to change it and take it back. So that's
fail on emissions.
Fail on emissions. Absolutely.
Then then
So I'm not in the car, mate.
For that cheap MOT and they fail out on emissions and tell you that you need an engine flush, you kind of go, should have taken it somewhere that bit more expensive and a little bit more bit less dodgy.
Well, my family say I fail on emissions all the time, but that's quite disgusting. But in terms of MO, would I take my Tesla to Quick Fit or Halfords? I don't know, not really. But it depends. I mean, you don't know. I mean, it's a bit like dealers. There might be some good techs there, and they might see those sort of cars all the time. So I think the worry that people will have if you're taking your electric vehicle somewhere you're not taking it before is, are they going to look after you? Are they going to check the right things? Are you going to get conned? Commuter branch line. So our Kia e-Niro has 10k service intervals, minor, major service, then expensive motor coolant change. Yeah, that's it. The motor coolant change. I don't think the Tesla ever has that. I don't think any of mine have anyway. That's 400 quid. We stuck with Kia up to 100k. Now it's serviced at Hevra local garage. There we go. Oh, Lars is back. How, Lars? Sorry for the off-topic question. Do you have those Chinese battery swap stations in the UK? NIO had 2 in Denmark, but now they've given up. The new Chinese Fireplace without battery swap in Denmark. You know what? That's interesting, because no, we don't have any battery swaps here. Now, as far as I know, Tesla looked into battery swapping and they went against it. The way that I see it, I don't think the way that electric cars can charge so quickly and conveniently, charge when you stopped, you start full battery, generally speaking, you're going up the motorway, you get to 120 miles, like me and probably Alex, where you need to stop off for a cheeky break, and you grab a coffee. That's like 10 minutes minimum, and that can get you 60 to 100 kilowatts depending on what your car is and what your charger is. But
enormously expensive infrastructure, isn't it? And the issue that you have that you wouldn't have with the rapid chargers, if you imagine you have, say, an event at, I don't know, Silverstone, and you have a load of people all going out from a big event like that, all going on similar roads, any battery swap stations along those roads, unlike a rapid charger, you can keep plugging in, you're going to run out of fully charged batteries. You've got all the infrastructure problems that you have with a fast charger, plus the fact that you need to have good batteries in. I just don't see it ever. I don't see it ever taken up.
Yeah, and I know it's off topic, Lars, but I'm glad you've shared that with us. The fact that obviously this NIO have given up in Denmark, because I think a lot of people kept on going on about battery swaps being the future. But I did see one big positive, though, that having a battery station like that is quite good for balancing the grid because you've got a lot of power potential there. So that I saw that as a big bonus. But I was quite happy because I was cleaning my car next to that green Passat with 500,000 miles that I spoke about earlier. And yeah, 240. It was a Project EV. I'll share it on my socials the next couple of days on Insta and Facebook. Chargeheads UK, check it out. Yeah, these massive Project EV chargers. And when I've obviously looked around the back because I was a massive nerd when it comes to charging and found the badge and it said 460 kilowatt. And I was thinking, wow, but it's probably 230 each gun. But yeah, it's a lot of power, but they'll probably be charging, knowing BP, about 95p per kilowatt hour or something ridiculous. But good as an emergency, I think. Dean, how you doing, mate?
I jumped. Speaking of BP, last week I got mocked by Kevin. So I went to see. It was last Saturday. I went to go and see Chicane in London. Did it on a whim. So I booked. It was with a live band. So I booked it at 10 a.m. on Saturday. People kind of say you can't do spontaneous trips in an EV. Mocha was fully charged. I had plugged it in the previous night. Takes all of 30 seconds to pull it out the back and plug it in. Parked the car in Westfield, went to see the gig, came back to a fully charged car. Kevin was very amused on the way up because he was like, well, the chargers in Westfield are BP ones. It's never going to work. It's never going to work. It's never going to work. It was fine. It's completely seamless. I came back. It was 100% when I got back from the gig, ready to drive back to Cardiff. 70 miles an hour, air conditioning on all the way. And listen, a Mocha, I mean, it's not in the Mocha's not the longest range EV in the world or the most expensive or the fastest charging. It's easy. Sorry, I just mentioned about BP. I had a really easy experience with BP last week, apart from one thing, which is that 4 of the chargers there were not listed on the app. So the first one that I got to and went to go and plug in at wasn't listed on the app. I had to move it 3 along to go and to find one that was actually listed. But other than that, it was fine.
So it's just like a real car. Just like
a real car. In fact, if anything, it's easier because it's like if in a real car where I would have had to have taken it out and got fuel at some point on the way, and I would have come back to it not being fully, to it probably needing more fuel again. And petrol Mocha is not going to have a range of much more than 300 or 400 miles. 300-mile round trip, I probably would have had to have gone and picked up, filled it up with fuel again. With this, came back, plugged it in at home, ready to go. So
there we go. I knew that Alex wouldn't be able to have the podcast
without talking about Vauxhall. Yeah.
My mate, hi Dean. My mate was Master Tech at Renault. That also moved over to Tech on Trains. Pay was also a lot better and significant figure. So yeah, not alone. Uzo Vlog, thank you. I'm not sure why you said thank you, but you're welcome. Nissan Leaf gear oil changing was a thing discovered by Blackpool Taxi Company, who ran a fleet of Leaf and had gearbox issues over 100k. Simple, cheap oil and filter change was worth it for them. Yeah, I need to sort it out. Jimmy, we lost loads of techs to the trains, working nights and more pay. There we go. The trains. That's where they're all going. Take it down to Network Rail, get a cheap cash in hand service maybe. I'm taking my EV to Avidas in Brecon once it's out of manufacturer's warranty. Thanks for the introduction, Tim. No worries. Yeah, so if anyone didn't see it, we had Avidas on the channel. Lovely guy from Wales. And he does all sorts of EV servicing, does battery swaps on BMW i3s as well. Lovely guy. Go and check him out. I forget what the name of his living EV. I forget the name of his company now, but yeah, he's in Wales. Do you know his company name, Dean? Whack it in here. It's a Twizzy. Hey, Mark. New government grant states battery and electric drivetrain must have warranty period of at least 8 years. Only Tesla have offered this, so this stopping others trying for the grant, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Oh, that's right. We forgot, Alex. At the end of this, can you share which electric cars have the grant? Because we've missed it the last 2 weeks. Do you remember, or have you got it kind of handy?
I can get it.
He's going to get it.
Yeah.
Hold on, people. We'll have which electric cars, I was going to say, suffer from the grant. I think it's just the taxpayers that suffer, actually. But so, yeah, benefit from the grant. So, commute branch line. Alex, can you show us a little more about the Polo, please? That's on the other podcast. Yeah, I'm joking. Well, Alex can share that at the end. Let's keep the momentum going for the EV set. He brought it to mind the other day, actually. It
I
was
did,
lovely.
yeah.
Yeah, didn't have time to take it for a spin though, unfortunately. Fire up the Mocha just sounds famous. Fire up the Quattro. Yeah. Fire up the Mocha sounds like my drink when I'm getting a bit tired and need a sugar boost. Thank you for the guidance about MOT using Herald. Ah, sorry, buddy. Good man. So I wasn't sure because you didn't answer the question before. So we've covered a lot. We've covered talk about the difference between normal legacy, traditional EV, traditional OEMs servicing versus Tesla, all the intricacies around servicing. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch the YouTube or X, or be on Spotify later. We talked about warranty. We talked about oil change on Tesla drive units. I think we've pretty much covered anything, but we have got a bit more to go. But if anyone's got any other questions, whack them in the chat. That's what it's there for. So yeah, pop it in there. Alex, have you got
This
a
is
list?
Going to be
Goodness
What?
here.
Sorry,
Have you got a list?
I have, yeah.
Right.
So, band 1 cars. There's only 2 cars so far eligible for the full 3750, and they are the Ford Tornado E-Courier and the Ford Puma Gen E. Now, the Ford Puma Gen E is quite an interesting one because that's not a particularly expensive car in general. So that's really going to be, I mean, with Kevin and I were looking at prices on this a couple of weeks ago when he was driving around in one, and it's really quite an aggressively priced vehicle now. Nonetheless, there's plenty of vehicles in the band 2, which is the £1,500.
Is it a good car though? I know the Puma's like the petrol diesel version is like the best selling car in the UK, but is the electric one any good? It looks nice.
I was pleasantly surprised when I had a Puma in on test, because I was I got suckered into the whole. I've got quite fond memories of the old Puma, the old Puma Coupe. I drove Ford Heritage's racing Puma, which is a wonderful, lovely thing.
Well, mate, I had one of those, and I had a Honda Integra at the time. We did not race, promise you.
But the petrol one is a good car. It's good fun, and I reckon I haven't driven the EV yet. Kevin had to say drove one the other week, so I've had a look around it, and I've been out in it, but I've not driven one. Different interior, slightly higher, I think, seating in the back, slightly deeper boot. They've got kind of you can wash your dogs in it. It's got like a kind of a sink in the boot underneath with a plug in the bottom of it. You can fill with water, yeah. And the petrol one does as well, but the petrol one's got a cutout bit for the exhaust to come through, which the EV doesn't. Right. It's a nice little car. I'll reserve judgment until I've driven one, but I know Kevin got on quite well with it the other week, so certainly an exciting thing to add to the list of vehicles that are available.
What was the rough monthly cost on it? Do you remember?
I don't remember off the top of my head, no, but it was.
I'll search it for everyone.
It was quite aggressive. Band 2, there's loads. So we've got a full set of Citroens. So we've got EC3, EC3, EC3 Aircross, EC4 and EC4X, EC5, e-Berlingo and e-Space Tourer. So that's a pretty decent, long, list of vehicles. Cupra Born, DS3 and DS number 4, Mini Countryman, Nissan Ariya, Nissan Micra, Peugeot E208, 2008, 308, 408, the E-Rifter and the E-Traveller. So again, another full set of Stellantis vehicles all falling into it. Renault 4 and Renault 5.
The E-Traveller. It's just the best name.
Oh, I know. Yeah, Renault 4, Renault 5, and then the A290, which is the Alpine Renault 5, which is very cool. That comes in for the.
Does it?
Yeah, that's it warrants another look. The Megane, which I love. Megane's one of these ones that seems to slip under the radar. The Renault Megane EV is a really good little car. I got on really well with it. It's a really good steer. Scenic seems to have had better, kind of more praise, but the Scenic's that little bit bigger. The Megane's a really nice size. It just feels really kind of premium inside. I got on really well with it when I had one of those. Skoda Elroq, which is the little SUV, the Enyaq, which is the slightly bigger one, the Toyota BZ4X, the Toyota ProAce City Verso, which is the same as our Rifter, but with a Toyota badge on it, and then a full set of Vauxhalls you'll be happy to hear. So Astra, Combo, Corsa, Frontera, Grandland, Mokka, and Vivaro Life, and again, so it's a full set. Combo Life again, being our Rifter, and the ID3. So quite a long list available with the 1500 grant. Not so many available with the full 3750, despite that being the thing that kind of got the headlines. Is there's going to be this 3750 grant. I think you'll start to see some interesting kind of wriggling in terms of getting some vehicles under that. Although a lot of manufacturers that don't get the grant or don't get the full grant are discounting anyway. So this is kind of it's only going to affect a certain number of vehicles and all the rest of it.
So what you're saying is maybe there's a grant and a discount to be had. Oh, it depends on how you buy it. It could be PCP, lease, outright. I don't think.
There's plenty of stuff that isn't on the list. So I know some of the Chinese brands have put, which don't appear on the list because it's all based on. I should probably bring people up to date on this. It's based on a 70% to 30% split in terms of, so 70% battery, 30% body in terms of where they're built. So it depends on the grid carbon intensity of the countries where the battery and the body are built. So if you build somewhere with a lot of green energy, you're more likely to get the 3750 grant. If you build somewhere with more coal-fired power stations and all the rest of it, they deem that the production of the vehicle is less green, and you'd get either reduced or not the full grant. And it's split 30% for assembly and 70% for the battery. So it's designed to bring stuff a bit more local to the UK, but a lot of the Chinese brands, as a result of this, don't kind of benefit from the grant at all, and they've actually started doing kind of matches on the grant. So if you don't get the grant, you can get a discount equivalent to the grant off the vehicle, which again it's all helpful. It all kind of helps nudge the prices down. It's all helpful unless, like me, you own an EV, which is kind of gets a bit of nibbled off the price as a result of everything else coming down. But this stuff is natural; it's going to happen. So,
well, I did find the lease. I mean, this is a bad example, but go and check yourself, because they always, on this case, it's so this is the Ford Puma Gen E. It worked out to be £175 per month, but that is with 9 months down and over 36 months. But generally speaking, you're not going to put any more than 3 months down. I'd always put as little down as possible, and that's based on 5k a year. And realistically, it's going to be 8k a year minimum. But you can play around with that. But £175, and that did actually come with, I think you get free servicing for the first 2 years, which is, as we've just worked out, it's no more than 200 quid. Let's be honest. But it does look like 1 year's free. Oh, 1 year's free charging with Eon Next as well. That's pretty good.
Home charging, presumably.
The what? Sorry.
Home charging, presumably.
Yeah, if it's with Eon, I guess so. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty good value. To answer your question, Fox. So, do I think advanced autopilot's worth it? I can't remember what the difference between advanced autopilot advanced, and full self-driving is. But I love the full self-driving on Rusty. Use it all the time, and I think the only difference is it'll go into lanes by kind of automatically. You have to wiggle the steering wheel a little bit, and it will stop at lights and then go at lights. And it's got the summon mode. But I think my other Tesla, Lucky, I think that's got advanced. I'm not sure, but I think it's worth it, because it just, especially when you're tired and things like that, I think it makes all the difference. Just makes you a better driver, really, when you're a bit tired. I'm planning to use Cleverly EV for my driver unit oil changes on my Model Y on Hertz Rental Pearl White Multicoat. Yeah, mine's just multicolour. Hertz White. How much are they charging you, mate? Because I'm interested to know, because I've been quoted by another company, but I'm not sure if I trust the other one, really. And you've got to trust Cleveland EV, haven't you? Surely Das Berlin manufactured Teslas made in a super clean factory should get the full grant. I don't know. So often their factory's on fire because Elon's poking the bear politically over there, isn't he? Dean, the new Leaf is probably guaranteed 3,750 grant.
I would say absolutely. I would say politically, the government can't afford to not have the Leaf qualify for the grant. There's just no way that they're gonna. And they've got, what's it called? What's the joint venture up there that they were doing with? They've got a battery joint venture up there, and haven't they?
I know. Would be Renault.
No, it's not with Renault. It's a separate one. It's AE something. Oh, God, my brain's not working. But yeah, they had a joint venture with one of the battery companies up there.
Do you know what?
I've had for a long time.
I need sponsorship because our brains never work. I think we need some sort of lion's mane mushroom sponsor. So Oh, brain's not working. Why didn't you? I think it'd be great. If anyone who
Problem
knows
doing a
anyone else,
podcast at 9 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. It's
doesn't help, does it? Oh, we're nearly there, aren't we? We are there. I really hope. I mean, I hope that the Nissan Leaf is good enough, the new one, to do well. Because obviously, I mean, I know they're cheap and all the rest of it, but I just wouldn't really touch a Leaf, just because the the battery issues that it has, because they're not, liquid cooled. But yeah, I really hope the new one does well.
I really I had I mean the one I had was new at the time, but I had a Leaf for 6 months. I got on really well with it. I mean it's an odd, I mean it's a first generation one, but 30 kilowatt. Must be coming up to 10 years ago now. I got on really well with it. I would, but then knowing what I know now about, as you say, the kind of the battery issues that particularly those ones have, it's not something that I go for. But as a car, very easy thing to live with. Charged at the time relatively quickly, decent efficiency, very comfortable, good Bose audio system in it. It was a nice thing to live with.
And it could be a really good rally car, Alex. We still haven't explored that.
I still haven't explored that now.
Yeah, there could be an event coming up next year, actually, where we could, there's it, bumper cars, EV bumper cars. So if anyone's listening and watching, there could be EV bumper cars at a potential event next year. There's somewhere that I think I might have found, but I will need everyone's support for that. That is for sure, to make sure everyone makes a go of it. Commuter branch line, word on the street is Tesla's going to offer 3k contribution on finance on the Model 3 in Q4. If they throw in the free supercharging, I might just buy one. I doubt they'll do free supercharging. Imagine the amount of Uber drivers would be all over that. Yusef, do you think third party warranty is worth it? Once out of warranty, this is a 2021 Model 3 long range, 35k miles. My gut feeling says no, because they love a clause, don't they? They love a clause. However, if it's from, generally speaking, the OEMs have their, you buy one used, they put on a full year's main dealer OEM warranty. They are worth it. I think someone that can be trusted, like Cleveland EV, I think I probably would trust their third party warranty, because I think if that were to go wrong and it wasn't justified, then I think they would honour it anyway. I'm speaking out of turn. I'm speaking for Cleveland here, but I think, I would trust them. Any other dealer, third party, I would be worried. Alex, what do you reckon?
I think if it gives you peace of mind and you make sure that you go through somebody that's recommended, don't go through somebody, go through kind of one of the bigger kind of companies that's offering this. If it's going to offer you that peace of mind against to go electric for example for the first time, and you're a bit worried about some of the kind of the unknowns with it. Not that I'm saying they're things to be worried about, but obviously it's new, isn't it? It's if it helps you to make that jump, it's not the end of the world. But I think do your research and go with somebody who's a reputable kind of well-rated partner, and check the small print.
Definitely check the small print for sure. You haven't got a price yet. I can't remember. I think they charge £150, but there was a cheaper one, a Tesla Specialist. I think they're in Birmingham. I can't remember their names now. Commuter branch line, Leaf is a great local runabout for doing the shop, school runs. Also, how about using a Leaf for vehicle to grid, home battery, house backup?
Yeah.
Segan store have a bi-directional charger out now. Yeah, well, we were talking about bi-directional vehicle to grid on our last live. So if you missed that, we had a special guest on from Electric Miles. Really interesting. I learned a lot. Alex wasn't here. He was having internet difficulties. No problem. You left. I suppose we better wrap this up, because otherwise it'll be past my bedtime. So, Alex, what are you up to at the moment? You're allowed to tell us, that is.
That's a really good question. I don't think I've got a lot that I can tell you about this week. I'm doing Cowbridge Cars and Coffee next Saturday, is the plan.
Cambridge Cars and Coffee?
Cowbridge Cars and Coffee, which is probably just as big a deal. But yeah, it's Cowbridge Cars and Coffee is quite well known local kind of big car meet. So I've booked my free place at that, which means getting up at the crack of dawn next Sunday to get a decent parking space. That'll probably be the last event of the year for me, but it's massive. I mean, and it's all sorts of different vehicles. I've never managed to make it down before.
Is it in Wales?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cowbridge, of course, known in EV circles because Cowbridge is where what's the guy called? Founder of Lucid is from Cowbridge.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a bit of a distance for me. It's 3 hours, 20 minutes, 186 miles.
It's on beyond Cardiff. It's out in the middle of out towards the Vale. So yeah, I'm going to that next Sunday. I'm hoping the weather's a bit better. So I did Barry Fornia. So I don't know if you guys know of Roththink. It's a local place in Caerphilly, but they've got this massive global following. They're kind of an air-cooled Volkswagen themed clothing fashion brand. But they're massive all over the world, and they're based out of a unit here in Caerphilly. But they organise 2 times a year an event on Barry seafront called Barry Fornia, and it's a kind of California themed. Bring your kind of hot rod Beetles and buses. It's really, really cool. But the weather was very Welsh the other week. It's probably, I mean, I think there's pictures of this sat out on the waterfront at Barry, but I mean, it was just coming in like wave after wave of just like having a bucket poured over you. And it wasn't very California at all. Although, yeah, maybe kind of tornadoes or whatever, but.
Well, I think because you can never judge the weather, can you, in the UK? You know, and I think Petrol Hedonism, they had this underground event at a multi-story car park. I think that's a really good idea. But you know, when you start talking about EVs and multi-stories, people start going, "What about in Luton?" Well, I don't think the insurance.
Yeah,
that would be amusing. Doesn't the new Leaf look like the Megane as the Micro is Renault 5? I'm not sure.
I didn't think they were. Yeah, I didn't think there wasn't what kind of.
There is a car that looks very similar to it. I think you might be right, Jimmy. Actually, I think you might be right. Very similar.
The Micro and the Renault 5 are very similar. I'm just trying to think what the new.
Yeah, the Micro Renault 5. I can't really make that one, mate, because and just to give everyone a heads up, there is a EV meet at Gasoline and Juice in Weedon, Northamptonshire, which is kind of run by MT3 UK Group. Richard, I'm going to be down there. There'll be loads of modified Teslas. That there will be other electric cars there as well. It's a great location. There's free sim racing. You can get food there. There's no real charging there, unfortunately, but they'll be charging around. And that is on the 5th of October, 10:30, I think. But I'll be sharing it on the socials anyway. So in terms of what I'm doing, what am I doing? Today I had a very unsuccessful video day, and I don't know if I'm going to have a video out on Wednesday because I tried to fit this ambient light from Hanshow and there was the power plug. It just eluded me, couldn't find it. All the videos I watched, everyone's power plug was in one location or another one, and mine just wasn't there. So yeah, it was all going so well. I'd taken off the dash, I'd ripped it all apart. It looked like a bit of a mess, and I think anyone that knows me and electrics and taking stuff apart would probably worry be a bit worried. But I did put it all back together. But yeah, that's eluding me. So not sure if there will be a video this week. But I am going to the EV Charger live charger show at NEC and solar and storage show this week on Wednesday, and yeah, working hard at Dynamon as ever. And then I'm off for the weekend. So yeah, it's not looking good on the video front, but hopefully everyone's enjoying the live, which is always good. But go back and watch the back catalogue because there's about 400 odd videos there. But yeah, that's me. And Alex, thanks for sharing. I think next week we will have Kevin back with us. And this is all you next week, really. EV tax government. This is what I've written down. So what's happening, Alex, next week?
What? Well, in terms of,
the government. What are they doing? What are they doing now?
God knows at the moment.
Well, yeah, this is true. But not that we're going to get political on this channel. I did think about it for a while. I thought, no, it's just not worth it. But are the government changing the tax laws and stuff?
There's no. I think we were talking kind of more generally about it. We've got a budget coming up, but not until the end of November.
Okay. So. Well, we'll converse on WhatsApp, and it'll be something to do with monies and EVs. So hopefully join in next week and save yourself some money. Did you look under the computer on the driver's side under the dash? Did you look under the computer on the driver's? Under the computer. No, I don't think I did. I don't know where the computer is, to be honest. Maybe drop me a message, mate, on chargeheads@gmail.com or whack us on the Facebook group. because I definitely need some help with that. Yeah, wiring plug. Yeah, it's a white plug. It's quite thick. It would fit in the back of the middle rear console where my screen fits, but there just wasn't a plug in that area in the right-hand side under the window. But I won't go on about that with everyone on. But thanks everyone for listening on the podcast tonight. And if you missed it, like I said, go back and watch it on YouTube, X, or it will be on Spotify later on. Alex, thanks very much for your help for talking about EV servicing, and thanks everyone for contributing.